This is gonna be your point. Come down. This is gonna be your point. This is, I don't know what they call the middle part, but I just call it the middle. And this is gonna be your flat, which is gonna be your lean, okay? Now this is the area where people like to cut off some of the fat. Fat got a little burnt, and this is, we're not eating it anyways, right? So I'm gonna cut it off. Some people like it if you like what they call crackling, which is just basically pig skin or pig fat, you can eat that. So I'm gonna cut the point. Man, that looks good. And I'm gonna cut my middle, so I'm gonna separate right in here. Again, this is not gospel. This is the way I cut it. It's a great way you can cut it. One thing you also want to make sure you always get is a good sharp knife. If you don't have a good sharp knife, get a good knife and a sharpener. All right, so there's two ways that I actually like to cut my lean. Okay, if I'm actually serving for a lot of people, I want to cut the traditional way of cutting your brisket is you want to cut it, you want to have a good, nice long piece. But however, again, people like options. People like 2, people like 3. If I can stretch this a little bit, I'm gonna cut it this way. But right now, we're not necessarily have to stretch it. So you see these, you see right in there, you see how those are at the very ends. They're not stringy, because I'm gonna show you a stringy piece here in a second. These are the very ends of the brisket. Now there's a couple ways to cut it. See, if you get a good bark on your brisket, it may be a little bit harder to cut, especially if you don't have a really sharp knife, because then it'll mess up. So I'm gonna show you what to do. I'm not sure if this will go, but this is nice and simple. Oh my gosh, that looks amazing. You serious? People also, stop holding your knife like this. Find a YouTube video, find out how to hold a knife. Best way I like to do it is put your thumb here, and then you go down, and you want to apply your pressure right at the tip of your index finger. Not the tip, but whatever you call that part right there. So I'm gonna cut this up now. I'm gonna go kind of fast. And I may not cut all of them, but I just want you to see what it looks like. And you see, this is my lean. A lot of people's lean is overcooked, and they have, it's just dry. I don't like everybody's lean brisket. Man, that's good. And you see this here? Now watch, when I take this off, you see that nice bark? You see that smoke ring right there? Now let's see. You see how this? Look at this. This is when you know your brisket is done. My goodness. I'm gonna take a small bite here just because I haven't eaten all day. That smoke is in there, nice and tender. Amazing, amazing. It's taken me all of 9 hours, barely. 9 hours seems like a lot to people. Seems like a lot, but when you make a brisket, when you make a big hunk of meat, you gotta invest that time. If you don't have at least that much time, don't do it. Call someone else and they'll make it for you. But not everybody. Don't call everybody else, because everybody can make a brisket. But anyway, so this is my middle piece. I'm not sure what everybody else calls it. I just call it the middle. What you want to do is follow the, it's going to tell you where to cut, all right? You want to follow this fat pocket right in there. It's going to come right around. You can back up just a little bit. Come right around. Let your knife kind of do the work. Follow this fat pocket. It's not going to be perfect. Now, let me show you a good example of the grain going, the muscle fibers going one way. You see how these muscle fibers are going that way, right? How they're going along that way. So what I don't want to do is cut that way. You see how they're now at the end, and these are going long, right? Right? See that? So which way do I want to cut with this? I'm gonna take that off. See now, look right in here. These fibers are going along that way. When I want to take this here and cut this way. And then once I do that, I don't have a bunch of stringy meat on my plate when I get ready to serve it. This is nice and hot in there. I went to a barbecue restaurant. Come up here. I went to a barbecue restaurant in Texas. I can't remember, but the name of it, very good. But this is all they serve, this part of the meat of the brisket was all they served. And it was kind of weird for me because I figured, you know, I want all of this. I'm in Texas. I'm supposed to put a whole brisket on my plate, baby. But you see right in there, it's a good, nice. See, if you got a person who doesn't mind having a little bit of fat, but then they generally want lean, but they tasted a brisket, they want to taste a brisket for the very first time, give them a piece of the middle, all right? Because you got some good fat content in there. It's not too lean, especially if you don't do it right, it'll come out dry. But if you do it right, if you follow the instructions I gave you, it'll come out perfect every time, I promise you. Make sure you take it out. The right temperature is key. If you give them a nice piece right in there, you got a little bit of fat up here, nothing too crazy. You got some good fat in there. And people who don't know brisket, who like the lean, who generally like lean meat, won't even realize that there's a bunch of fat in there. Man, that's good. Tell you what, man. All right, so those are my middle piece. I showed you how to cut. That the lean. This is lean. We've already got that. I can continue to cut it in a sec. Matter of fact, yeah, I'll finish that. This is going to be the top part of your middle. Now this part is actually a little bit more lean than this is. There's a lot of fat more on the bottom part of here. So you see how this is not going that way? I want to just take this and cut. Now I want to show you guys, I have a really sharp knife. Everybody doesn't have a really sharp knife. But here's what you do if you got a good, nice, crusty top with a good bark on top of it, and you can't get your knife through. Let me show you what to do. Back up just a little bit. You get a good, nice, dry spot on your cutting board, and then you just turn it over. Because by the time you get through, see that this is the very bottom of that. So the majority of this is going that way. Again, it won't always be perfect, but you just go down. You got a good momentum coming down, and you can chop that real nice and easy. And then you just turn it over, and you still have your bark attached. This is gonna be your middle portions of your brisket. So I'm gonna just go ahead and finish this off. Come on back up here. So, get a little bit down here too. So I hope you guys are enjoying this here. See, okay, let me show you. This is now where it's not going. Not that my knife isn't sharp enough, because it's very sharp, but it's just got a lot of, it's got some fatty pieces up in there. Now you're looking and saying, well, BBQ Daddy, what do you do now? Are you going against the grain? Now at this point, I can do what I want. You can do what you want. But what I am going to do, what I do want to do is I want to make sure I follow the rules as much as possible. Meaning I don't have to have a long slice like that. I don't have to have long slices here. But I definitely don't want to go, I want to follow the basic rules of how to get a good, nice cut. So I'm not going to go against the grain. I'm not going to go with the grain. I'm going to still follow the rules. Bam. Man, that looks good. If you like fatty on your brisket, get a piece of that middle. Now, we come to the fun part. And I'm gonna finish cutting this up here for you. This is gonna go in real fast motion. So keep watching. This part will start to cook down. It'll start to render down, and some of that fat is where your juice is. It also helps keep your brisket moist after you wrap it. Here is what we call our all amazing burnt ends. Go ahead, let me come back this way. So with these burnt ends, this one got nice and good crispy. This is good. Some people like this almost crackling, but there's no meat on there. There's a few different ways to do this, and I like to have my burnt ends in chunks, all right? So basically what I do, follow the basic rules, cut the very end piece, and cut that very end piece in half. Cut that end piece in half, and then you cut And then you can actually even continue to cut down like that. This is where the goodness comes in. My goodness. Take this. These burn in. Yes. Yes. Somebody say, where's that burn in, BBQ Daddy? I say, got them right here. Got them right here. And you take that piece right, oh my gosh, are you serious? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. These are your burn in. And then if you want to arrange this any kind of way, then you can definitely do so. But I'm gonna get this nice and pretty for you. All right, so you now have a perfectly cooked brisket with your lean. Look at that. Oh man, you gotta have a little pull. Some middle, look at that. Oh my God. And these amazing burn-ins. All kind of flavor right in there. All kind of flavor. Don't cut the fat. All right, hey, you just learned how to cut and cook a perfect brisket. If you follow the rules that I told you, your basic stuff, and hopefully it comes out like this the first time. If it doesn't, guess what? Just watch it again. Try it again. But if I promise you, if you follow those few steps that I gave you, you're gonna have amazing brisket. You're gonna have moist chicken breast. And then you're also going to have moist and a perfect tri-tip. Now, I took my tri-tip out at medium rare, which is where I think everyone should eat a steak. But everyone doesn't like to eat a steak around there. So you can also poke and poke your tri-tip. Take it out a little bit later if you want to. That's completely up to you. If you eat your tri-tip and your steak at well done, hey, more power to you. I'll keep you in my prayers. Hey, but anyways, hey, thanks for tuning in with BBQ Daddy, and catch us on the next episode when we start working that mac and cheese and the baked beans and all the extra different sides and a lot of other things that we have available for you.